down on these guys. So it's definitely a totally different field. It's awesome for the sport. It's awesome to see people going, oh, I think we got our women's actually just started.
Yep, all right, folks, out there in live stream land, the Women's Elite underway, 2013 UCI Full Moon Vista. It's the Ellison Price Cyclocross.
I want to see Emma White. I want to see what she does here today.
Yeah, Emma White, cyclocrossworld.com, CX Nationals third.
She was doing really good yesterday. I mean, she was just holding up there, and she fell off the front group. But here they come right through the finish for the first start. But
yeah, this is the first lap. This is the Women's Elite 2013 Full Moon Vista Ellison Park UCI Cyclocross. There you go, Van Gilder on the lead. Emma, Mo right there in chase.
We got a local, Jess, up there. Jess Snyder's coming up through there. See how she does today. She did pretty good yesterday. She's finished about mid-pack.
And Greg, so far, out of Canada there, Natasha Elliott, Team Rare Voss Stevens. She had a 5th and 7th at the Green Mountain Series. She's doing well. So
she's sitting in second right now. She's going to be doing good. She's probably motivated after yesterday for finishing, I believe, 5th.
Nicole Thiemann in chase last year. First place at Cooper River. By the way, 10th at Wyndham, U.S. Nationals.
Wow.
And there you go. Team CF there, Nicole Thiemann then leading it up the Alpe d'Huez climb. Had a little bit of a dismount, and now you see that corner barricade leading to be a little bit of a bottleneck. And again, mind you, that uphill start there. There you go, Team CF.
Nikki's still holding off in second, and we got our winner from yesterday sitting in 4th right now. I think she's just trying to maintain some energy and make sure she doesn't let the lead group get away.
Great shot coming up the Alpe d'Huez. Beautiful fall time of the year. And again, you can get a good idea how that course is kind of getting burned in. Mind you, that's the up. And yesterday, Greg, remember, that was the actual downs. The course actually has been reversed today.
I'll tell you, yesterday it was super, super slippery on those turns, especially that first turn going downhill. That's where they're approaching right now. It was all mud, but they changed the course a little bit, so they have to avoid that. But it's going to get pretty slick on this downhill, especially the straightaway, because it's going to come into a hard 180.
And here we go, folks. You can see a little bit, clearly a little bit of a gap there in the first, second, and third, chasing behind. Here's that first final, and coming down the descent of Alpe d'Huez. And notice, again, the traction, the race is being very tentative. Here's where, Greg, you were talking about earlier, the cornering skills. Look at that, beautiful cornering. Man, textbook,
super smooth.
Look at that. I tell you, I'm getting the chills. Again, Natasha Elliott, boom.
She's going to wait for this, and then she's going to get on the gas.
Look at that, textbook, man, textbook turns.
Here she goes on the gas. Now coming through up here, there's going to be a she's going to take a wide left, and then it's going to go into a downhill, into a hard 180. That's where it's going to see.
And
that's where it's going to be the problem.
Look at that. Again, Elliott pouring it on, second and third, kind of just sitting back, kind of chasing. Remember, this is the first lap, and so far, Natasha Elliott racing for Rare Voss. Team Stevens is out in front. Again, this is the first lap. You're watching the Women's Elite 2013 UCI Full Moon Vista Ellison Park Cyclocross. Jonah DiPasquale with you. Greg Griffo from Team RRG helping me out.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on here, Jonah.
Absolutely.
We got six women off the front right now. They're starting to open a gap right now.
And wait a minute, Mo in the chase. Marine Bruno Roy, Bob's Red Mill, 7 cycles in the chase.
We got our Richard Sachs trying to close that gap, trying to sit on the front in the second chase group.
And you see
Vita.
And little by little starting to break apart. Again, those of you in live stream land, they're going into the back half section of the run-up for chutes and ladders. There you have it, winding through the pine trees. Pretty fun section, Greg. How would you say the racers are feeling at this point?
They're probably definitely gassed right now after that first.
You thinking?
They're just starting to get into a rhythm right now. I mean, they're definitely the whole first lap's usually always a sprint.
Right.
Oh, everyone's trying to get their place and settling out. But that's almost, they're probably sitting up kind of almost relieved to be going through this section. This section's nice technical. Who's got the handling skills? Who can lay on the gas without having to hit the brakes at all? But they're going to come down into a road section pretty soon, and that's where it's going to start to open up a little bit more.
All right, so we're going to be seeing them just in a few minutes. As you saw, again, the USA racer Nicole Thiemann and Marine Bruno Roy sort of jockeying for first and second. Third and fourth still kind of up in the air, but again, clearly, Greg, as you know, this race is not going to be won solely by just this lap.
Very true, very true. Just got underway, so we got a couple laps to go. Actually, a lot, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was 40 minutes of racing, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. The women's elite definitely they've got quite a bit of racing. 40-minute UCIC. Here we go. Coming up the first lead. Wait a minute. It's Laura Van Gilder. Van Gilder, and again, she's coming back. Mo.
Tasha Elliott coming up on the outside. She's starting to charge up that climb right there.
And there you have it. You got also Natasha Elliott in the mix. She's looking good.
Here comes the second group now.
And there you go. There's Frances Morrison. She's charging it. And remember, folks, again, this is a slickery surface. There you go, Laura Van Gilder. Bunny hopping it. We got the dismount. Mo, again, also dismounting, as well as Nicole Thiemann playing it safe. 125 going through the gate. That was Emma White. You were just mentioning Emma White.
Very, very fast. I remember actually racing her at Gloucester. She was racing the Cat 3 men for a past couple of years, just getting ready to get up to speed. And
Jessica Snyder out of, again,
local rider, just doing awesome. Representing our town.
Yeah, Rochester is a great community.
Got a lot of great talent out here. Dan Staffo.
Racers still coming through stretch down there. Nobody's getting too dicey yet.
Folks, we got a VIP in the house. Again, those of you in live stream land, I'll let the man behind the microphone kind of introduce himself, get a little bit of intel. Certainly shaking the scene out there in the cyclocross land. So when you hear his voice, I'm sure you're going to probably recognize who this is. So behind door number 1, who is it?
Thanks for having me over here, obviously. Adam Meyerson, cyclist, coach, fan of the sport. Thanks for having me over.
Adam, I got to say to you, my friend, I love people that embrace the passion of cycling, and I know that just talking with a number of competitors out there, you know, CX races in specific, they see you, they know you're going to be bringing your A game. And speaking in terms of your A game, you've had a phenomenal season. Great job in terms of Providence, Gloucester. Now you're here today at Ellison Park UCI event. You know, kind of help these folks kind of get a good idea of what this kind of East Coast venue has to offer.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a great natural stadium. It's definitely very hilly. It's probably one of the hilliest races that we're going to do all year. But the trade-off for all the climbing is some really aggressive downhills, off-camber turns, really challenging. So, you know, it suits me in one aspect, and it's the absolute worst for me in the other. But you know, it's good to have a variety of courses, and it's definitely a great course.
Yeah, and I love the honesty. You know, again, just talking with the likes of Gagne and McDonald, the section of the course that clearly they said they weren't big fans of is this grind. You clearly can't see it right now, but the grind from one end of the park to the other, it's a slight upward gradient. And again, not so much the gradient, as you'd mentioned before, but just the grass, the surface area.
That's right, that's right. So with the rain that we've gotten, it's not muddy, but it's heavy. It slowed things down. It's spongy, let's say. So definitely requires a lot of watts. You're just sitting there, pedaling hard, showing what you got for fitness, and you know, when you get to the top of the course, then you can show what you've got for skills.
Absolutely. And I love what you were mentioning earlier. Again, I know a lot of the sections of the course that play into a lot of the riders' you know, favorites, like the descending. You know, and Ned, you notice especially when we're watching the women's elite right now, Van Gilder out there in the lead, Mo right behind her, and I even know there, Nicole there for a bit. These ladies can corner, I got to tell you.
Well, absolutely. And so I'm interested because Natasha Elliott is a personal coaching client of mine, and she was off the front there in the first lap. So I should be getting ready for my race, but I'm running around watching my clients and trying to cheer for her. And so, yeah, I'm as excited to watch the women's race as I am to race my own race. So it's good to see Natasha in the front group.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Adam, as I said, I love the fact that you're giving back, you're coaching. Again, a fellow coach myself, I love seeing riders kind of get it, have those eureka moments. You know, you have a personal fave. You might already say it, but who do you think's going to win today?
In the women's race or the men's race?
Oh, the women's race.
Yeah, I'm obviously I'm rooting for Natasha. This is a great course from Bruno Roy, though. She's a really, really good climber. She's very light, but she also has good technical skills.
Absolutely.
I also coached Mo for a long time, too, so it's easy to cheer for her. But, yeah, to see Lara climb with Mo yesterday was pretty impressive.
Exciting. I agree.
I know Mo just started a yoga training program, and she's 10 hours a day over the past week. I'm sure that's taken a little bit out of her legs, but I expect her to ride better today than she did yesterday. So let's see if Mo and Natasha, maybe Lara as well.
Absolutely, and Adam, again, yesterday, Gagne walking away with the win there, McDonald and Chase, and even, I believe it was Hoy in third, but those guys, really 1 and 2 were really kind of dicing it up quite a bit. That turned out to be a great men's elite yesterday.
Yeah, and I think the story of the day there is Anthony Clark in third. I mean, we expected Gagne and Zach to be off the front.
Yep.
They're both good climbers and good technical riders, and it's just really good to see Anthony Clark in third really have a great ride. Yeah, you can't fake it on this course.
That's a great point, and Adam, thanks so much for coming by. I really appreciate it. I know you got a lot of mental preparation and things going on. As I said, just to kind of give people a little bit of insight, maybe to where to catch up with you next. What's on the calendar coming up next?
I'm probably going to head home after the race today, have a week of training, do some local races next weekend, and just try and make sure I'm in a good place for my own event, Cycle Smart International in Northampton.
There you have it.
First week in November. I want to ride well there, obviously, but I also need to be fresh. You know, putting on a bike race is harder than actually racing the race. That's what I'm focused on next.
Absolutely. So that's great. So as I said, those folks out there listening on live stream, as I said, a jack of all trades, not only a cyclist, a coach, a promoter, cycling event specialist. So thank you so much, Adam. Appreciate that. We'll look out for you, and maybe we'll see you on the podium today.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Right. Congratulations. Well, like I said, it's great to have Adam stop by. Folks, it's a pleasure to be with you. Jonah DePasquale, 2013 UCI Ellison Cyclocross. Right now underway is the Women's Elite. First couple laps, so far so good. And as I said, kind of the beauty of live stream is you do sort of kind of get a chance to kind of run a show kind of behind a show. It's been neat to see some of the folks kind of come around and check things out, and it was great to see Adam, as I said, stop by and give you folks a little bit of insight on what he's up to. Be sure to check him out at Smart Stop. And again, I want to thank our folks from Chain L Bicycle Oil, high mileage formula. Significantly improved chain lube or chain life, smoother, quieter drivetrain, 1,000 miles between applications. And of course, it's made in USA. Ellison Park, Rochester, New York, home of the UCI events. Nice to have this event back in terms of being UCI specific, 4th year in a row. This actually has been an event going on since 2008 for Conversation. That's the back half of the Pine section, heading into chutes and ladders. And you'd heard us talking to you previously about a few of the men's competitors in the Open riding up there. Ian Keogh, Team Felt, that was pretty impressive. And again, so far, Van Gilder and Maureen Bruno Roy out there chasing. There you go, Mo in the lead, heading up chutes and ladders. And Van Gilder, again, though, stranger to the competitive cyclocross scene. Look at this, neck and neck, and Mo seems to be coming out in the lead. And there they have it. You have it coming around the course there. Textbook, Mo back on. Racing for Bob's Red Mill 7 Cycles. Van Gilder in pursuit, heading into the Wooded Ridge section. Joanne Grogan, Mo, Bunny Hoppin, Van Gilder. Well, a little bit of a bobble. And Chase gave Mo a little bit of a lead time there. Coming across the back section. Nice clean dismount there. That was Nicole Thiemann. Beautiful. Nice little gridlock there. We got 102. That would be Laura. No, excuse me. Mispronounced the read on that number. Beg your pardon. Love this shot. You notice the beautiful Trek banner. People kind of hanging out. There's a lot of action right down there at the top of chutes and ladders. Pretty funny. We had to move the camera. Had some of the smaller kids kind of jump in front of the feed there. 115. That's Catherine Cumming, Team Yacht Club. She just won the Nittany Lion CX, 3rd place in the Green Mountain Series. That's racer 125. Emma White. Emma White from Cyclocross World. She's 3rd in the CX Nationals. Get that. Textbook, baby. Team Richard Sox. That team's been coming on strong. Team Old School. I just saw Molly Herford, New Jersey, New York, Col Vita women's team. Nice job on the shoulder there, racer 124. That was Angie Tham of Invicta FCV. She just took first at Sprague Book. And there's 109. Erica Yazell, Bicycle Theory of Melita. Nice work again. Women's Elite 2013 UCI Ellison Park Cyclocross. Jonah DiPasquale with you, live streaming. Thank you so much. Hook S1 Productions, Full Moon Vista, Joe Bean Coffee Roasters, of course, the folks from Good Smoke Barbecue. Man, I'm just drooling talking about it. And, of course, Roarbox Brewery. Look at that shot. I had to tell you, folks, one of the beautiful things about living here on the East Coast is certainly the view. Look at that nice greenery. This time of the year, it's fall. I know some of you folks listening in live stream land out there on the West Coast. I know a lot of folks are like, wow, we missed the fall. We missed the East Coast. And, boy, it's such a nice opportunity to have a UCI event there. Racer 117 there. Victoria Gates with Jam Fun NCC coming through. And there you have it there. Mo in the lead. And Van Gilder clearly not letting, again, Bruno Roy out of her sight. As I said, Van Gilder very much a veteran to the cyclocross scene. So Mo really has to kind of play it to strategy. I remember yesterday talking with her. She says, well, you know, sometimes it's probably not a bad idea to have Van Gilder behind her. Maybe sometimes a little bit better to have her in front of her so that they can better match what they're going to do. Now, here's the conversation, folks, out there in cyclocross land. This is where strategy plays into it. These riders clearly both match from a fitness level. You got the young gun, you got the senior vet. They both know, again, what it takes to get to the finish line. A multiple race, plenty of climbing. We've already talked about this. The landscape, again, obviously you see racers kind of coming into the Alpe d'Huez climb. And look at the cadence, by the way. Remember, this is packed down grass. It's pretty tacky. It's pretty sluggish. But again, you notice how these ladies are starting to pick it up. No sign of third. Again, fourth and fifth respectively. So these two ladies clearly starting to own the race as they did yesterday on day number 1 at Ellison Park. Here we go. You got the barricades. There's the dismount. Watch that they get back on the bike. This is just a dance. I can't believe it. This is just a beauty to watch these ladies make it happen. A nice little pan in back on the chutes and ladders climb. And now, you can kind of see a little bit. It's getting pretty dicey. That climb's starting to get a little bit tricky. Should be interesting to see what happens for today's men's elite. There we go. We just had a full moon Vista racer, or excuse me, a Mach 5 racer come through there. 101. Back at it. Heading back up the climb. Look at Mo picking up the tempo. Again, Van Gilder not even backing down one bit. Matching her pedal for pedal stroke coming into the second climb. And mind you, there's probably about 4 or 5 switchbacks going up. And as you can see, as I said, there's definitely a burned-in path, but there are some spots where it's definitely tacky, like to use that word slickery. I know you folks probably don't know what that word means, but here on the East Coast, slickery, it could be any particular course out there, especially when it comes to Ellison Park. That grass, you can kind of see it there at the finish line. Even just look at the crosswalk there from people cutting back and forth. It's pretty tacky. 4 to go. And wait a minute, there you go. Van Gilder leading attack, pulling in front of Mo. Mo not necessarily falling back, but Van Gilder kind of starting to accelerate a little bit. Again, Mo not afraid. You see coming down the descent, she still keeps Van Gilder right in the eyes, matching her turn for turn. Remember I said, you look at the expertise and the prowess of these ladies, their technical skills, cornering, leaning, carving. Mind you, this is slippery grass, packed mud, not pavement. Again, you definitely can see these ladies have a very, very good skill set in their cycling handling skills. I would imagine that clearly if this was pavement, it'd be a no-brainer. But there you go, Van Gilder starting to pick it up. Mo matching right there. Look at this. Mo trying to nip at Van Gilder's heels. Van Gilder's not backing down, really starting to churn those gears. She's coming along the lower bottom half as she heads down the ridge there by our Velo Neutral race support. Thank you again to those guys for coming out. And look at that. That's a pretty tough section. Had a couple racers come down earlier today. And again, look at that technique. Van Gilder just carving it around, taking it wide. Mo again right back in there, matching Van Gilder, pedal for pedal. Here she goes. Again, look at the concentration. You could definitely see Mo starting to look over Van Gilder's shoulder a little bit, kind of wait for her to make a little bit of a mistake. And I'm not thinking this vet's going to let up that easy. So here we go, coming into the last section of the pine tree forest. This is a fun little section. Again, it's downhill. As I said, Ellison Park, very popular for a sledding hill. This area, a lot of fun. Again, riders can kind of chill out just a little bit, kind of put it in cruise control. But I'm thinking if I've got, Mo behind me, I'm probably not putting it in cruise control. And again, another great view. Love the foliage there in the background. We're a little bit past, I'd say, peak at this point. Clearly. This late in the season, October, most of the leaves, if this point, they've probably already fallen off the trees. But certainly one of the fun things about living on the East Coast for sure.
Jessica Snyder, Rochester, New York, coming through. Local girl putting in for the big race. Not too far behind is Molly Hurlford.
And so far, so good. As I said, women's elite underway. Last year's women's elite winner, Helen Wyman, taking it in first, and second place last year, Gabriella Day both days, third place on Saturday, Patricia Burkle, and third, Nicole Thiemann. But clearly at this point, Nicole, she's in the mix this year, but your women's elite leaders, Van Dessel team rider, Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers, Laura Van Gilder out front in chase. Mo Bruno Roy racing for Bob's Red Mill, 7 cycles. There you go, Van Gilder with the dismount, shouldering the bike, Mo right behind her. Very good concentration. These ladies keeping a good pace. And again, this continues to be the leaders. Notice not much sight of third place as they come up out of the chutes and ladders run up. Van Gilder in lead. And there's your third place run up. That is Natasha Elliott racing for Rare Voss Stevens Cycles at a 5th and 7th in Green Mountain.
And there they are. Looks like Van Gilder's
Looking
got
good.
a few white flags on Roy. Going back into the woods behind the Roar Rock
There's
Beer Tent.
again more on the run up. Look at that textbook dismount there. Natasha Elliott, beautiful. Another run up, racer 120, I believe. That was Maureen Lewis. Remember, few down. 107 coming across. That was Francis Morrison, C3 2020 Cycling Co. Racer 108. That was Jenny Ives, Verge Sport Test Pilot. She got third in Uncle Sam.
Now I had her at 7th coming into where you are, Joe. Has she picked off anybody? Is that pit change? Nope, looks like she's still
Racer 107, there's Francis Morrison. 115 on the run up. That was Catherine Cumming, Team Yacht Club. 123, there you go, racing for Mach 5 bicycles, Jessica Snyder. On the bunny hop there, nice job. Racer 114, that's Victoria Blarclay, Stands No Tubes Women's Elite Team. Racing for Call the Vita. 115, they're going through the line. Catherine Cumming, Team Yacht Club, and
This is you see riders going through that Fort Schuyler gravity track. Couple on more left
111.
until they
Excuse me, I want to say a correction. It was Molly Herford, New Jersey, New York, Call the Vita women's team.
this front section, but believe me, it's uphill.
And that run-up is definitely causing a challenge there. Angie Tham of Victa FCV, here we go. Back to the lead, it's Laura Van Gilder. Van Gilder leading the 2013 Ellison Park UCI Cyclocross. Mo, Marine, Bruno Roy in chase. This is your first and second races respective. Again, no sign of third, so clearly this is the race thus far to watch.
There's no daylight between these ladies right now.
I tell you what, it's interesting, Mo not giving up. Look at this, neck and neck almost coming through. A slight overlap there. Mo starting to accelerate. Van Gilder matching. She's jumping on it. She's like, no, I'm not going to let you buy this easily. Standing up. She's picking up the steam a little bit. Mo matching. Again, they're overlapping one wheel. Again, Van Gilder pulling out a little bit, but Mo not letting down. Just a little bit behind. They're coming into that initial climb. They're heading up the Ellison Alpe d'Huez. Again, Van Gilder picking it up. Mo's like, nope, I don't think so. She's in chase. As I said, neck and neck just about. They're heading into the lower section. They're going to come down, up, and around the two barricades. Again, the quick little dismount and back at it. 4 to 5 quick little chicanes as they head back up Alpe d'Huez. The rest of your groups respectively. That last racer through. Emma White, there you go. The dismount, Van Gilder, and Mo back at it. Heading up the Ellison Alpe d'Huez climb.
Thinking about putting an attack in on the hill, though. Meanwhile, it looks like Elliott's broken free for
So far, so good. As I said, and you know, it's always fun to watch these elite women. You know, they are certainly at the top for a reason. Obviously, anytime you have UCI attached to a race, you know you're going to get the best of the best. You know, clearly with, you know, Van Gilder and Bruno Roy, they are certainly no strangers to the CX world. Coming through the line there, racer 115, that was Catherine Cumming. Again, Mach 5 rider, nice job. Jessica Snyder. And there they go, digging, digging, digging. And I say it's impressive because you got to think at this point, Van Gilder knows that Mo is not going to be dropped that easily. So, you know, you definitely are seeing match for match a lot of what both riders are doing, very much, you know, in line of, well, it's a chess game. So again, I think, you know, right now, Van Gilder's kind of thinking to herself, where am I going? Look at this, Mo with the pass. Mo with the pass, taking the lead, going down Ellison Alpe d'Huez. Van Gilder coming off the pedal a little bit. Nothing really to worry about, but all of a sudden, wait a minute. Mo starting to put some distance in front of Van Gilder. Just almost a turn front, but again, Van Gilder starting to pick it up, but again, Mo's feeling pretty good. Look at this, carving the turns, man, I'm loving it. Textbook, now she's starting to accelerate. Here's the last sweeping turn coming along the bottom of Ellison Alpe d'Huez, and hold on a second, no sign of Van Gilder. She's back there, but Mo, wait a minute, still in the sights. There you go. Wait a minute, again, Van Gilder getting back on the wheel. But as I can tell you right now, Mo is definitely starting to sort of test the waters. Van Gilder, I wouldn't say by any means is tiring. I clearly wouldn't write her off at this point. She is absolutely, still has Mo in her sights. And again, trying to keep every bit of precious distance in between her to make sure that Mo definitely doesn't slip off the wheel. But again, it seems to be the tempo and the cadence. Mo picking it up. Again, Bob's Red Mill Racer for 7 cycles, looking good, carving through that turns. I mean, again, mind you, this slickery grass, this muddy stuff, it is no joke. Again, this race has been, this particular surface area was beat up. I mean, the number of racers out here today, there you go. Look at that, nice cornering technique, a little bit of acceleration, and that's one of the good aspects about cyclocross is where you can make up lost time. Coming in and out of those turns, the cleaner you can get into the turn, carve out, and accelerate, that's where you're picking up extra distance from your competitor. Beautiful venue, Ellison Park. So great to have this part of a UCI event. It's the 4th year. Thank you so much, USA Cycling. Thank you so much, Scott Page and the Full Moon Vista crew. Big thanks to Villa Neutral Race Support. Check them out at velonrs.com. You can see the Neutral Race Support area there. I believe that was big thanks to our folks from Chainel, giving us some free swag to hand out. If you folks are at the race today, stop on by or give Chainel a shout and say, hey, heard you guys mention via this live stream event. Tell them Jonah D sent you. Why not? There's the run-up. There you go. Mo and Van Gilder. Notice those steps, each step. And then a little bit of slippage there from Van Gilder, but she's still holding Mo in her sights. And there you go. Look at the mount. Again, like a gazelle. Back on the bike. Wait a minute, Van Gilder with a little bit of attack coming into the woods. There she goes. Like I said, you can never write these vets off because they are seasoned. There you go. Mo with a little bit of tail, tail bobble. Racer 105, that's Natasha Elliott. You're getting a little bit of slippage. And as I said, the more these, more that run-up gets beat in, the slippier it's going to get there. Nicole Thiemann taking 3rd last year on Sunday, Ellison Park. Oh, I tell you, see those pedal strokes are getting tougher and tougher each time. And notice how a great little shot there. Looking good. Yeah, nice shot there, Natasha. Great work coming through the wooded section. Nice little dismount. 103, that was racer Nicole Thiemann. There's another run up there. 125. Emma White. Good to see Emma out here. third place at CX Nationals. It's overcast, but nice to know that not much rain happened. A bunch of rain fell last night. Their racer 126. Kathleen Lesakowski, excuse me, Cycle Lodge. Oh, 114 digging deep. Woo, Victoria Barclay. Man, a nice little tap dance and up and away. 115 looking good. Catherine Cumming, Team Yacht Club. Catherine Cumming just recently taken first in the Nittany Lions CX, third place, Green Mountain CX, like I mentioned to you before. There you go, nice little 114. 112. Julie Hunter. Looking good. Julie Hunter racing for Pop Street Journal. First in the Jamestown CX, first in the South Germantown CX as well. Nice work, riding for Team Calta Vita. New Jersey, New York Calta Vita women's team there, Molly Herford. And there you go, back into the chase. Van Gilder racing for Van Dessel, Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers. She just recently took first in the Whirlybird CX, and right back in chase, Maureen Bruno Roy. 2009 Cyclocross Nationals winner, clears as well as many other races out there. And here you go, coming through the start-finish line. You have your current women's elite leaders. Van Gilder and Bruno Roy, first and second respectively. No sign of third, but again, as I said to you before, there's no tiring. This certainly seems to be a strength point on the course for Mo. Every time she's gone through here, she knows that this is a good opportunity to dig into a little bit of extra space to be in front of Van Gilder. You notice how the back half of this course seems to play into Van Gilder's skill sets, because when she comes into it, she certainly is doing well. Back on the mic, again, Peter Pellicciati from Pete's Wheels. Pete, great job there earlier today. You'd raced. How'd that go?
Thanks, Jonah. Yeah, I really enjoyed the race today. You know, I know a few people were disappointed we didn't get any mud, because that really will make it challenging, but it was a different course today, running in reverse, for sure. It seemed to flow a little better and just work to my talent a little bit more. It's definitely nice to see a change, whether it be muddy or a change of direction,
sure,
or some different corners. But it was an exciting race for me, and it looks like it's an exciting women's race right now so far.
Yeah, let's talk about the Open Men's winner there, Ian Keogh, riding up chutes and ladders. How about that?
That was just amazing. You gotta. This kid's got power.
Oh yeah.
I rode up it once in a practice lap, and that was coming into it with my heart rate all the way down,
sure,
looking it over and just gunning it right from the base to the top, just getting the top, and I'm like, I won't be able to do that during the race.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he actually did that, if I'm not mistaken, I think three separate times that he actually rode up it.
Yeah.
So not once, but 3 times.
That is just that'll really save you a lot of time, you know. It's good to stay on the bike like that, although, a guy that talented could get right back in the pedals quicker than anybody. Just to be able to stay on the bike can be really key to save seconds on a course.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get back to the women's elite. Talking right now, it looks like clearly Bruno Roy leading it out, and Van Gilder sparring back and forth. And I mentioned to you earlier, it seems like coming along up and down the front half of the Ellison Alpe d'Huez, you can see clearly Mo has got the upper hand, because she's always, sending a volley and getting out in front of Van Gilder. Van Gilder not necessarily falling off the back, but you clearly can see that there's a little bit of cat and mouse going on. I know, Peter, you're a big road racer, but look at this, man. Mo really starting to put it out there.
She really does put a gap in coming down the hill, and I think she just is a little, more skilled. Maybe it's because she's younger, just a little more courage. I know that as I've gotten older, I don't descend as quickly as I used to.
Right.
But I was also talking to Bruno Roy earlier today, and she was a little disappointed we didn't get a lot of rain. She was looking for some mud because she's that's the kind of racer she is. She's a technical racer.
Yep.
She handles the mud well, and if she handles the mud well, she's definitely going to handle handle a fairly dry and loamy course like this well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Peter, you'd mentioned, kind of the young phenom versus the seasoned vet. I will tell you, just actually chatting with Mo yesterday, in the back of her mind, right now, she's knowing that she's really coming into that Bell lap. She's really got to be, either far enough ahead of Van Gilder or ready to throw down for the line. So I guess my point to those folks out there listening to live stream land, do you think there could be a potential for a sprint finish in today's women's elite?
It's looking like it again because, yesterday Van Gilder led almost the whole race and pulled away at the finish. And to see Bruno Roy out front, either she's just got a lot of confidence or she's maybe not making the best decision, letting Van Gilder sit behind her and maybe rest a little bit.
And Peter, I tell you what, just taking a look at that last sweeping Pine section, that's our third place racer. Did I tell you third place? Look at the gap that Bruno Roy and Van Gilder have put on third.
Yeah, right from the beginning of the race, I saw a gap forming. I was out there eating my meal after my race, watching the race, and I was like, wow, the two leaders they put in a gap so quick.
Yep.
Van Gilder and Bruno Roy. They, obviously yesterday's race did not hurt them. They came in today's probably stronger than yesterday.
Yeah, I would say not. I mean, clearly, obviously, having raced it yourself, you can attest that. There you go. There's Mo with a dismount. Van Gilder. And again, look at him, man. The concentration, the focus. Again, remember, this is multiple efforts, not just onesies and twosies. So every time you run up this, man, it literally sucks the life out of you here, especially with the slippery condition. It isn't getting any drier out there, that's for sure.
Yeah, and Van Gilder just getting right back in her pedals a little quicker than Bruno Roy right there, getting ahead again, and maybe Bruno Roy wanted to get set up there. But here comes third place.
Yeah, third place, 105. That is, again, Elliot Natasha. Rare Voss Stevens Racing. She took a 5th and 7th, Peter, in the Green Mountain Series. And here's
Fantastic.
4th coming in. That's 4th coming up the climb right there. Quite a
we
few
got a battle here for we got
4th and
4th, 5th.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I know we're always looking at the leaders, but everybody's got, playing for their own placement. If they can't get up to the front, they want to at least build upon the position they're in. So they're going to battle it out, whether it be for 3rd place, 4th place, 6th, 7th place.
Yeah.
You want to get points.
That's a great point, Peter. Again, folks, clearly anything that's labeled UCI, every placing has its points proper. So, again, across the board, it's funny, Peter. You bring up a great point. And some of these racers, I was looking through the stats. As far as their placings, I mean, I'm just off the top of my head, like 47th, 90th, 96th, whatever. I mean, folks, that's across the board. So that's all racers. That's just not the local people. So, I mean, every single racer out there that jumps into these categories is fighting for those same points proper.
Absolutely, and some of the racers that don't necessarily place high up in any individual race, they'll get to as many races as they can to get their points up, and that helps them get better placement, helps build their points for the whole series. It seems like maybe that they're just the fact they're doing that, maybe they're not as strong, but it makes at the same time they get stronger by getting to all these races. It's challenging though to drive across the country and do this, but when you're in the cross, that you do it.
Yeah, there definitely seems to be the commitment.
There's Vicky.
Yeah, Vicky stopped by yesterday. Vicky stands no tubes. Great. She's got great showmanship. She's a lot of fun.
Using her mountain bike skills, hopping over that log.
And there's the team socks.
Are we seeing everybody bunny hop or at least roll over the log, or are we seeing many of the
bunch of folks so far? Again,
here we get
I know.
15.
I know, Peter. You just joined us. Those folks that have been watching, we've had a couple ladies kind of do the old bunny hop action, going up and over. We got the leader going on. Looks like Van Gilder. Again, I mentioned to you before. Now Van Gilder back out in front again. So as I said, there's a little bit of sparring, a little bit of cat and mouse going on back and forth, and you know that, like I said, sometimes these cat and forth.
This is the Bell Lap we're coming into.
I know, we got the final lap, Bell Lap, Women's Elite 2013 UCI Full Moon Vista Cyclocross. Ellison Park in Rochester, New York. Jonah DiPasquale with you. Peter Pellicciati. Crowd's starting to ramp it up. And look at Mo. Mo digging deep. She's starting to pick up the tempo. Look at the game face on Van Gilder, man. It is just, it is on. And look at the guns, man. She's pumped.
She is a strong.
I think she can take me. There's no question
about
it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Hello, right?
Yeah, she is a strong racer.
Yeah.
I see Jess out there.
Yeah.
Jess Snyder, local racer. You know, quite a few positions back in the pack. And I was thinking how she raced with us local men one day, you know, and wasn't too far behind, you know, catching up to Mia for a little bit at one point. Strong racers these women are. They would beat, you know, most of the guys. But they're looking at Van Gilder and Bruno Roy. Neither one of them look like they're suffering.
Yeah,
I don't know, a little cat and mouse like yesterday. Who knows?
Sure. Hey, one of the things I want to mention to you there, that last race where they panned through the start-finish line there, Nicole Thiemann racing for Team CF. She took first in the Cooper River and 10th at the Wyndham U.S. Nationals. And mountain bike, by the way,
wow.
She actually took third last year. So, ironically,
third at Ellison.
She took third at Ellison in 2012. So, you know, guess where she's sitting now? Could be pretty close to third if I'm not mistaken. We have to go double check that again. But back
consistent
to
racer.
I believe so. But back at it again, heading up the Ellison Alpe d'Huez. Again, look at Van Gilder really starting to get out.
Yeah,
front.
we don't want to miss a thing in this.
No, absolutely
this is the last lap, and they're jockeying for position here. Something's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bruno Roy she doesn't want to settle for a second day in a row.
Yeah, I don't think so.
She's gonna make a move somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So, folks out there listening, as I said, we are on the Bell Lap, the 2013 Full Moon Vista Cyclocross, Ellison Park, Rochester, New York. Jonah DiPasquale with you. Peter Pellicciati, thank you so much, Full Moon Vista. You guys are great. Scott Page and crew. Look at this. Van Gilder accelerating. Peter, check this out. She's really going.
Boy,
there's the attack. What did I tell you?
That was similar to yesterday.
Yep.
She pulled the gap uphill. I don't think this is going to stick, but
I don't think so. This one corner was giving her a little bit of trouble earlier. She clicked out. Look, there you go. Did you see that dabble? That's a tough corner, but again, Mo, no problem at all. Look at that right back on her wheel. So she went from almost having a full corner lead, and Mo right on her wheel. So I got to tell you what, right now Van Gilder's like, man, if I can shake her, let's see what's happening. But Mo's concentrating. I'm telling you, we'd said it before, folks. I think we're setting up for a finish line sprint. And again, women's elite just about to wrap up. Again, Van Gilder picking it up. Mo clearly not even out of gas. She's jumping right on the gas, Peter.
Absolutely. Van Gilder playing it safe there with her foot out earlier on that corner. Of course, that allowed Bruno Roy to catch right up. But here we come down to some more corners. A nice flowy section lower here through the pine trees once they get around this little loop. I can tell you, it's really fun, this section down there. Very flowy. If you've got skills, you can really make up some time through the trees there.
Absolutely, and again, it is interesting. You say it's a nice, fun, flowy section.
Very fun.
As I said, you can see it's not necessarily that the ladies have stopped pedaling, but I gotta say, okay, wait a minute, that's a pretty aggressive tempo.
Absolutely.
I spoke too soon, but they're clearly not letting off the gas.
Yeah, absolutely. You can pedal through these corners a bit. You know, you hit the brakes right in the front, and then just see them pedaling around that corner. You know, you can keep it going. It's groovy.
Groovy. Wow.
Flowy groovy.
Is flowy groovy going to go viral?
No, I think it's. I think groovy synonymous with flowy.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly. No, actually, as I said, I will have to agree with you. That was one of the things, especially in cyclocross, especially when you're watching these women's elite racers. I mean, they do have some incredible bike handling skills. I mean, as I said, that's one of the I guess the differentiators between an elite level athlete is the more efficient they are and they can carve. And as I said, Peter, you brought up a good point. That kind of flow through the turn and keep your momentum. Or since clearly you mentioned before, the less braking, the better. But we're going to see the climb of the chutes and ladders. Current race leaders.
This is a tough climb right there. It's going to be interesting to see how many pro men decide to ride right up it.
Yeah, and that last racer just through the start-finish line, that was Kelly Patterson of Wolverine Racing, acfstores.com. Got a good field of women, from all over. So it's great to get the support. Glad these ladies came out.
Representing a lot of bike brands here. Here's the hill.
Yeah, chutes and ladders, and clearly I would say at this point it's probably a cliff. Van Gilder out front. Mo digging deep. Look at that, man. Even though she's slipping, she's still holding the pace. And remember you before, this is the part of the section that Van Gilder likes.
Yes.
Every time she's come up this climb, you notice she's accelerating. We're coming into the woods. And again, Peter, remember you were talking about this log section. Here you go. Is it going to be a dismount or is it going to be a ride over or slash bunny hop? I'd say more of it's a ride over. Notice the tentativeness.
Oh,
Mo
boy.
slowing up a little bit. Van Gilder taking it a little bit faster.
Every time Van Gilder creates that little gap, Bruno Roy has got to dig a little deeper to catch up, and that's sucking a little bit of power you're going to want for that sprint finish.
Yeah, absolutely.
So she's got to work on the next few corners being smooth and staying right with her, or finding a place to pass.
Yeah, absolutely. And a part of the section that you folks can't see on the course is called Schuler's Revenge. That is that back half of the course where we had that little trading post that was rebuilt we were talking about. Peter, maybe just for the folks out there, I mean, how much of an opportunity is it going to be, give or take, for either racers back there? Anything really major going to be happening?
The part we can't see?
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a road section you come out in, and then you got to dip down to a very loamy, steep little climb, and half the racers I raced with got off their bikes and lost time
in the dip.
But anybody that could stay on and power up the hill, you get to the top and you just gun it, because at the very top is just pavement.
Yep.
No spinning. You hit that pavement, you accelerate, and you just dropped whoever was right there behind you.
Sure.
And
there's racer.
That could be happening between Van Gilder.
Oh,
and
racer
Bruno.
113. That was Christina Birch. Did a little bit of falter. Boy, talk about sucking the wind out of your energy, man. That's a tough thing when you're shouldering a bike and you're going up and you lose your balance. It's tough to get moving again.
Every little false move that takes you out of your groove.
Right there.
Just sucks so much power.
That section's getting brutal.
You notice a lot of racers don't bring any water, regardless of how hot it is.
Sure.
I'm kind of one of the oddballs. I'll bring water with me usually, and but I hardly ever drink it. One sip, and I notice that I've just raised my heart rate 2 beats per minute just taking a sip of water, and if I'm not in good placement, that can set me back. I gotta have a, be sitting behind somebody in a draft position to be able to get a big gulp of water.
All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, the final finish, Women's Elite 2013 UCI Full Moon Vista.
Out front.
Holy cats, what happened to Mo, Peter? She's not even back there. And there you have it. Congratulations, Van Dessel, Mellow Mushroom, Pizza Bakers rider
Maureen?
Laura Van Gilder taking the win. 2013 Full Moon Vista, Ellison Park Cyclocross. Congratulations. Mo, there she is. Peter, I don't know. I can't imagine what happened. Mo was right there behind her, and there she comes. She's heading through the finish line. There's Van Gilder, and just to show the camaraderie, here they go. They're going to give each other a little bit of a high five and a hug. Oh, maybe not. I don't know.
Well, you can't be disappointed with a second place.
Oh, absolutely not.
No. So yeah, but there could have been a bobble in that lower section, like we talked about. Because that was a lot of seconds. It wasn't just a small gap that Van Gilder pulled out there.
Yeah,
she could have been just just pretending she was suffering. Amazing 2 racers they are, and Van Gilder is just so many years of experience. She's a roadie too, so she's using a lot of her road tactics.
Yeah, I would agree.
Previous roadie.
Yeah,
using everything in her toolbox to win this race today.
Sure, absolutely. Peter, you brought up a good point. I mean, clearly, road racing and cyclocross obviously is a fairly obvious parallel, but especially being a vet, I know that was definitely one of the things I mentioned before that was playing into Van Gilder's mindset. But Peter, I gotta say to you, I'm very surprised, especially coming into that back set. Mo and Laura Van Gilder were matched. I mean, they were very close. Obviously coming into that back stretch, it certainly seems like Van Gilder put a gap on her, but I just you'd mentioned before, I'm not quite sure what happened on the back section of that course.
Well, we saw a gap forming immediately after the log. Van Gilder went over the log so smooth, and Bruno Roy just went over it so much slower, and I could see that was the last bit of camera angle we caught, and you could see a big gap forming right there, and it's a good chance that Van Gilder just increased it from there.
Yep.
Took the lower loop faster, and once you get a little lead like that, you don't want to let your competitor get back close to you, because you've just put a hard effort in, and likely if they catch you, they're going to pass you. So you got to be dominant. If
Sure.
you're gonna make an acceleration and pull a gap, you want to keep that gap, and knowing that there's only, half a mile left of the course at most, Van Gelder just laid it down.
Absolutely, yeah. I want to thank Full Moon Vista Bike and Sport, their title sponsor, production company. Again, Rochester, New York's premier cycling shop, specializing in professional fitting, sales, and repairs, featuring Trek bicycles. Peter, who is featuring the brewing, the lovely beer? Who were we talking about?
Rohrbox,
Yeah, buddy.
again, like yesterday. They're, just a local brewery, very popular brewery. They brew some great beers, have a couple of their favorites here today.
What's your favorite?
Well, a couple of everybody's favorites. The Scotch Ale they have,
Yeah, buddy.
which is a nice one. I'll have about one of those. They're a little too strong to drink more than one. And their lager. A lot of people like the lager, so they have a huge selection of beers, and they have a tasting room over at the where's that tasting room? That's down at the public market.
It's
no,
someplace.
they put a
I
the
know,
public
please.
market. They
I
put
know.
in a new a brew house over
Yep.
there, and there's a tasting room, and they've got a lot. If you like their beer, you go in there and you could try many more beers than just the lager and the Scotch Ale.
Absolutely. Big thanks to our folks from the Monroe County Sports Commission, obviously providing this venue. Beautiful Ellison Park in Rochester, New York. 4th year of the return of the UCI Cyclocross event. Thank you to GVCC.
I see a lot of racers gasping for air at the finish of this race.
Absolutely.
Exactly how I felt.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, thank you so much. Good Smoke Barbecue, Rochester's barbecue experts defining their own style of modern barbecue. Peter, I don't know if you know this, they're nationally acclaimed as one of the best barbecues in the country, founded in 2006 and winning competitions ever since. Do you have any of that caffeine earlier today?
Caffeine?
Yeah, do you have any of the caffeine? You know who's pouring some pretty solid caffeine? Our folks from, what's it called?
Joe Bean.
Joe Bean, baby. That's what it is.
Roasters, yeah.
Yeah, Joe Bean. And then there was a pretty sweet-looking lock company out of Germany. I think they were called
Abus Locks.
Abus Locks. You heard of those guys?
I have not heard of Abus Locks.
They're pretty big time. I think you need to get yourself. That's your future. Get over that. You know what they do have though here is they have a pint glass. Get yourself a nice pint glass. They'll fill it up for free. $10. It's a good deal. Yeah.
It's always good to have another pint glass for the collection.
Absolutely. And I also want to thank
And a lock for the bike.
Yeah, clearly. Well,
That
you got to
was,
lock the bike up. You don't want people taking it. Big
Yeah.
thanks, of course, to Trek Bicycles. Again, began in 1976 with a simple mission. Build the best bikes in the world. Trek's motto, we believe in bikes. And also, too, want to give Ryan a shout-out. Ryan with Velo Neutral Race Support.
Ryan has done a great job today.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's just got great skills as a mechanic.
Yep.
And a fellow cross racer also. He loves it just as much as the rest of us.
So, again, thank you for joining us. Day number 2. Full Moon Vista Ellison Park Cyclocross. It's UCI C2. It's the
Do we
women's
have
league.
the final list of placements in the women's field?
We do not. We are waiting on that, but I believe, Peter, again, as we clearly saw officially, Laura Van Gelder taking first, Maureen in second. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I saw Nicole Thiemann, or no, excuse me, Natasha Elliott. I want to say. Again, we're gonna make sure we do officially announce that. But as I said, I believe unofficially the third.
And we will see the podiums.
Yep. I believe we're gonna get that on the podium here. So again, I want to take a quick mic break. As I said, Jonah DiBasquale and Peter Pellicciati of Pete's Wheels. Pete, give us a little bit of a rundown of Pete's Wheels. What's happening out there?
Well, like we talked about many times, wheels. In the business of cross, wheels are key. Wheels, tires, and if you want a nice hand-built wheel, if your factory wheel doesn't do what you need it to do,
Yep.
you go to a custom builder. And
Sure.
And I specialize in custom wheels. There's a lot of hubs out there that you're just not going to find on factory wheels.
Right.
There's rims out there that
Okay.
can perform better than you might find in a factory wheel. So
Sure.
if you want to put those two together, you come to a hand-built wheel guy like me.
Right now, as I
and
said,
I enjoy doing it. Yeah.
No, I mean, obviously we're specifically commentating on a cyclocross event, and those are people that may not be familiar with Pete's Wheels. Clearly, are you just cyclocross specific, or are there other genres of wheels that you're building? I mean, if somebody wanted I don't know, let's say a time trial wheel or a mountain bike wheel. I mean.
Oh, absolutely. I built all those wheels this year. Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously during cross season, the cross wheels are more important. More people are looking for those, but TT wheels are big in the summer. Big triathlete community in
Yep.
Rochester, the Rochester triathletes. They got to have aero,
Sure.
and that's a really good spot where you can build an aero wheel, and the weight isn't always as important to
Right.
roadies might want a tubular aero
Okay.
where the triathletes are looking more for a clincher, something where they can change their own tires more readily. They don't have a team van following
Right.
them around. But
Great.
but I built cross downhill wheels, mountain bike wheels,
Okay.
road wheels, carbon wheels,
Beautiful.
aluminum wheels. I'm sure there's going to be some new materials out there. I can't wait to see and build
Unobtainium?
with.
Flubber?
Unobtainium.
You ever a flubber? Remember that?
Doesn't sound like it'd be too durable, but
It could
let me
it could
read
bounce
some-
back. You remember those ACS Z
I'm
wheels?
trying to get me some Z rims from that Schwinn had.
Yes.
Yeah. You dent those while you're riding. You just keep riding. They just roll back into shape. Yeah. Z rims.
And there you have it. Looks like our third place winner, or third place rider. I think that's Natasha, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you had a nice
Natasha-
interview with her yesterday, John.
Yeah, Natasha's great. And I
Did you
got
happen to notice that scar on her arm? Did you ask her about that?
No, I did not.
This can be a rough sport.
Yep.
Of course, she probably races road also. It'd
Sure.
be interesting to find out if she hurt her arm in bike racing or if it was just something
Just
else.
riding along. As
Car
I said,
accident,
well, car accident. Hopefully not. But that's actually a good point that you do make. I gotta say, and I, clearly hit the deck both, mountain riding, and fortunately not so much in road. But you do, and you bring up a great point that it's something that definitely plays into the mind of a rider's head. Not so much right out of the gate, but when you do start getting tired, the fatigue starts wearing in. And Peter, you brought up a great point. Let's say you really took a shiner on that right side. That's probably going to be something where the rider's thinking about, well, I don't really want to hit the deck, going that way.
Absolutely, you gotta play it to your own skills. You gotta, it's good to play it safe, and we don't like to say that that it's risky. I mean, all sports are risky, but as far as bicycle racing goes, in my opinion, cross racing is probably the safest. It just, on the road, you're going so much faster, and the pavement hurts so much more than the grass.
Yeah, absolutely. We just saw Natasha Elliott. Congratulations. Talking about consistency, both bronze, or I should say third, bronze medalist or third place, both Saturday and Sunday. So very, very consistent performance there. So nice job out there, Natasha.
I'm sure we've got a long cross season, and she's probably looking to bump that up.
Well, Peter, we're going to take a quick mic break. We're going to go over to the podium. If you want to keep people up to speed. If not, folks, just hang tight. We're going to move right over here to the podium for awards. So stay tuned.
Right now, they're doing the same thing. Exactly. See a couple interesting line choices for a few men that are coming down. Saw Zach McDonald make a little bit of a 1 foot bobble around our Emma White's corner up here. Should be a good race. Natasha Elliott, if you're in the area, kind of give me a wave. Okay, I just want to make sure you didn't get too far away because we're going to be taking care of that awards presentation very shortly. Thank you. I know Laura and Mo are back here as well, so we can deal with that. The promoting organization can deal with that awards presentation very shortly.
like go to these links. And I just want to say, in case you don't get that feedback, I'm hearing it.
We've been trying to make things, you know. My thing is, you guys are professionals. You're making it professional the way you look. You're operating bring your sport up to the level of you guys. So my thing's always about promotion and trying to make it equal with the other pro sports like NASCAR, or, you know, football or whatever. I mean, we should be there. That's where we should be.
It feels very professional. I think everyone feels like they're treated well. Safety, presentation, all those little things have been looked after, and it shows. And I think it elevates the event and makes everyone want to attend. So, and that's the thing that people are going to say to other racers. So I hope we can help you grow the event.
Yeah, well,
so thank you for taking the time to do that.
Thank you for coming here.
It makes the hills a little easier when you have nice crosswalks.
Well, we're hoping we're going to grow this big, and that's our goal. And
grow it like it. Hopefully, I'll grow enough to be competitive to win it as you grow it.
You did phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
It was a pleasure watching. Everybody was just having a ball. You were inspiring.
Thank you.
Just inspiring out there. You're just amazing. And it was good that you and Mo were just battling too. It makes a great show, you know.
We were. Yeah.
She does not give up.
No, and I know that, and she knows I'm not going to either.
It's
So.
wonderful. You know, your camaraderie at the end too. You guys finish. You can tell you both appreciate each other.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
wonderful to see that kind of competitiveness back. You have a deep respect.
Yeah. On the bike, everybody wants to win and have the best chance to do that. You know, good luck, good legs, and then at the end you're like, okay, the best woman won. You know, on the day, but it's not. Sometimes it's not you or me or her. So.
They were fantastic.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you back up there in a minute.
So hey Laura, before you take off, I wanted to
sorry.
see you later. Bye. I just want to say great job again at Ellison Park. Thank you so much. And it's interesting, as I was watching the race, I noticed there's a certain section of this course that you definitely liked more than the other. I noticed that, for example, on this back half of the course, you're really picking it up and you really were getting some distance on Mo. But I noticed how coming up the Alpe d'Huez, there was a little bit more of an advantage for her. But clearly, in the end, you definitely took the lead. Now, for the folks that couldn't see what was going on in the back half of the course, what happened there? Because she was right behind you, and then all of a sudden, here you came out of nowhere.
Well, I think, the run-up, we were pretty equal, although, Mo's an outstanding runner. She has a great running background collegiately. We would come up to the top of the run-up, and I would try to get to the log first and then capitalize on the rest. And as soon as we got to the pavement, I just hit it. I'm coming from a road background. That is my strength. And I thought if I could distance her there and make her really, work to get to me, if I could recover a bit for the sprint, I would be good. So that's what was happening on that side of the course, primarily the last lap. But Mo was really descending well, and a couple times she had me on the ropes, and I just felt that I needed to really minimize any damage that would happen there again and not force myself to make any mistakes. So we were definitely sharing the course, but sharing the workload on the course. But in the end, I think in each of our minds, we were choosing the spot that we felt suited our strengths and going to try and put the other one in the pain locker, pain cave, whatever you said, pain locker, pain cave.
Well, listen, I got to tell you, it was a pleasure to watch you, and clearly, just very graceful. I enjoy watching you coming up and down the Ellison Alpe d'Huez, and even your technical prowess. You'd mentioned the log. I clearly saw every time you hit that log, it's just like right over it. And again, certainly that Moa didn't have the ability to do that, but you definitely could see that. To your point, there was a little bit of gap there each time. Every time you guys both came up the run up, and just talking about that run up, it was really getting chewed up. I just saw the look on you, the concentration on every step was really an effort to get that bike up the hill and back on again. Yeah,
it's all about minimizing your mistakes on courses like this because there were some fast sections, so if you made a mistake, you were going to lose some serious time and really have to dig yourself to get back out of it. So cyclocross is about putting a complete race together with no mistakes and good luck.
Well, speaking of good luck, it looks like you're going to be on the podium sipping some good old Rohrbach, so Congratulations. We'll bet you get Monette. Laura Van Gilder, thank you so much. What a great run there at Ellison. Thank you.
this, baby.
Okay. I'll hold it. Is that good, Matt?
Way to go, ladies. Great day. Great weekend of racing for our women and brothers.
Do I get the big one today or not? Do I have to give them Big Mug back? Yesterday he's like, you have to give the Big Mug back. Remember? And I poured it too fast. And
I'll pour it really nicely.
there were all kinds of rules.
We had a bad pourer before.
I know. I'm a newbie. The beer thing. Now I definitely won't be able to drive the whole way home to Pennsylvania.
Whenever you're ready, buddy.
Kill it or do it?
Oh, you killed it. You absolutely killed it.
Are we doing more? Oh, okay.
There you go.
Thanks again.
Thank
and,
you.
Sincerely, there's a good buzz
about
you know, about the race. So.
Yeah, we got some new things we want to do next year, and we're going to work with. I've been working with UCI with Tom Beasley, and he sees the vision, and so we've got some really cool things we're talking about. We want to get this. We want to get this race a weekend earlier, because what happened this year was we didn't back up to Gloucester, and then it went to Colorado,
Right.
and it came back to the East Coast, and it's like they should have just.
Right.
See Zach McDonald of the Rafa Racing team doing a little bit of homework out here on the course. Just a few minutes ago he came through here and he read the barriers. And he checked it out once again, took a closer look at it and rode it and was able to bunny hop the barriers. First call for elite men to staging, please. First call for elite men to staging. We are at approximately 3:20. Your race scheduled to go at 3:35. Back to the drawing board.